Today is Friday, February 24th, 2023, and this officially marks my 3-year anniversary on T. I mean, it's kind of incredible. um, I didn't plan anything in particular to say. I'm just really excited. It's a fun like anniversary to have. Like it's a fun new thing to be able to celebrate and reflect on each year. Um, yeah, I will say after the first year or two, I think you kind of lose track of time because it's not like each tea dose is like promise of change, you know? It's more just maintaining what you have as far as I can tell. Um, but yeah, no regrets. There was no way for me to fully understand who I was until I just went ahead and started tea. Like, I started with a little uncertainty, but like, you can only theorize and hypothesize so much before you just have to dive in. And worst case, if it hadn't been for me, I would just have a lower voice, but I doubt anyone would, if I did end up identifying as female, I don't think anyone would misgender me as male because of my voice, because they've misgendered me as female plenty of times, even though I have a lower voice. Um, yeah, so happy I did that. It's been, it was obviously a roller coaster in the beginning, but yeah, it's all plateaued emotionally, pretty happy, pretty set. One thing I will say is, so when I first had any question of whether I was trans, which was like April 2019 or something, I like had originally said to my mom, like, ah, just so you know, I'm doing some thinking and I might be trans or non binary. Just want to put it out there. And it took until end of November of that year that I actually started going by another name and then eventually he, him pronouns and then a different name. So, anyways, the whole point of that is that now I do feel like I'm non binary. Like, I'm absolutely not female. Um, I'm like, the thing is, like, of pronouns that exist, he, him are what feel most comfortable. But like even after like 3 years, I don't. Whenever people use them, I always feel thrown off. Like what? Who? And like I'm not insulted by them. I just don't really relate. And like if people call me a man, I don't know. Again, it's not insulting. It's just I don't 100% identify. Sometimes it feels like flattery to me, which I like, but I can kind of relate to the word guy. But I can't relate to the pronouns they, them because to me, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going by them, just to me, it feels like someone's talking about me as if I'm not in the room, but to my face. Or I feel like, I don't know, they, them kind of sounds like what you would use for like an alien or like an all knowing omniscient god or something. Like, I don't know, like the plural for one person. So again, nothing wrong with it. That's just why I don't relate to it. So I don't know. So it's basically like he, him are just me going with what I've got. I don't feel like using they, them. I don't know what I would use. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even bother changing my pronouns again because I mean, if I like for sure identified with they, them, I'd go with that. Just changing them once was like not easy. I think for people who are more aware of like trans struggles and who actually care about accepting and adapting to people, it's not that like bad. Like they'll try. I will say like family level, it was not a good happy start. Though of course we're all good now. I will say a lot of my relatives still misgender me once in a while, which is frustrating. So I guess I'm just saying changing them again would be incredibly difficult. I'd probably be met with frustration all over again. Um, yeah, it's, I don't even have any that I would go with anyways. Um, yeah, but so, okay, so moral of that rambling was just that I pretty solidly identify as non-binary, and it just makes sense because all of my idols like growing up have been androgynous, like primarily like rock, punk rock, kind of bluesy. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of androgyny in like the punk rock scene, kind of goth emo scenes. Yeah, a lot of emo music. Um, and that's just what I aspire to be, and I what I like gravitate to, or at least just enjoy looking at. Um, yeah, though unfortunately, I think a lot of times I could be read as female, but I'm not misgendered all the time. I don't know. Just another realization too is like, oh man, what was I gonna say? Oh, whereas I have like for honestly like 3 years struggled with correcting people who misgender me, even though I knew that they should be excuse me, they should be embarrassed, not me. I now actually believe that and embrace it, and like when someone misgenders me, I'm like, oh, like actually I'm a guy, blah blah blah, and then I try to continue on and like not dwell on it and not make them feel awful because they're just going off the way society has operated for so long, like up till now, just assuming people's gender. So the more that I show people that they need to ask pronouns, the more I make them feel embarrassed because they should be embarrassed, the more they'll realize why people say share your pronouns, and they won't be like, oh, this is so stupid. Like, why are people doing this? Oh, don't assume my gender. Like all those memes and stuff. So yeah. So, anyways, they should be embarrassed. Just remember that. Um, oh, another thing is I've had quite a few, I'm gonna solidly guess, straight women show interest in me, so that's super exciting. Um, so again, just goes to show I am passing as male. Um, though again, I don't really love that phrase. Though I've used it forever and not really thought about it. It's kind of like, oh, I'm sneaking under the radar. Um, no, I should say I am being accurately perceived as male. Um, yeah, I will say I have found the whole AFAB, like assigned female at birth, idea, like that and assigned male at birth, that kind of thing, affirming. Because like I think for a long time I was like, well, I didn't realize that I was trans until I was like 20 or 21. I think 20, yeah, until I was like 21. So I was like, so I must not, like, even though I knew I was trans, the part of me was like, oh, I must not really be trans. Like, maybe I was, maybe I was female or something, I changed to male. No, it's the same brain. I've been the same gender. There are all the hints tracing back if you go through my YouTube channel. Yes, I'm, well, male, non binary, whatever. I don't, not female, whatever. Okay. Um, so I find it really affirming because it's like, yeah, you were inaccurately assigned a gender, and that's not what you were, and it just took you a long time to figure it out. So it's not like you're all of a sudden trans or like different gender. You've always been that. So yeah, take that to heart. You have always been the gender that you are, no matter what it's been called or whatever. Yeah. Oh, also, my singing voice has gotten so much better through practice. Like, so much better. And my voice, like, rarely cracks anymore. So just patience, patience. I feel like also pushing my vocal cords and making myself sing and try things. I feel like that helped my voice. Maybe I'm making this up, but it felt like it did. So yeah, I can sing pretty normally now. I got a lot of range back because my range was limited at first when I started T. Um, so yeah, a lot of really good progress on that front. Um, yeah, circling back to the non-binary thing again. Um, so I just one thing that I grappled with a lot is like, am like I wondered if I was non-binary or if I was male, and like what was difficult for me is like, okay, like if I identify as male, like why don't I relate to other men? And then I was like, well, they have a different lived experience than me. But at the same time, what if I had identified as male this whole time and just had super liberal parents who let me wear, well, this doesn't make a lot of sense because some things were forced on me, female things, but like, let's just assume was allowed to wear female clothing, traditionally female clothing, and play with dolls and make art and whatever. Like, then why couldn't I still identify as male there? But then I'm also like, well, I wasn't in. This is a terrible example to think of, but like, oh, I wasn't in the like locker rooms. I don't know. Exposed to locker room talk. I don't know. This is just the thoughts that my brain went through. Um, yeah, so I don't know. And then honestly, I was thinking, well, should trans male basically be its own category? Because it is a whole different experience than cis men. But then there's some kids who figure out their gender pretty early on, and then they're just living that way since they're little. So then they are having all the life experiences. So it's so complicated. I honestly don't know if I even have an answer to this, but I just feel like non binary makes sense because I don't feel so solidly male. And they're also like now that I feel more secure in my more masculine identity and presentation, um, I like feel like I'm embracing those moments that I feel like more feminine more, and like I had long hair again for a while and I kind of liked how that felt, and like sometimes feeling like I don't know if I'd say pretty, but just like the ways that I felt when I was female presenting and like felt like I looked good or was like showing off or like, and those were wearing feminine things. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's just a feeling. And like I think when I was first transitioning and questioning my identity, it freaked me out because it introduced like uncertainty and it was outside the binary journey that I was on of like I'm becoming more and more male. I am not female. But I think now I'm just embracing both sides more and like I really do want an androgynous appearance. Like ideally I'd like people to either think that I'm male, like perceive me as male, or as androgynous and like not know and like just kind of like go back and forth like imagine that optical illusion where it's like you either see a duck or a rabbit. So I either want them to see me as male or have the duck rabbit illusion like male, female, male, female, male, female. Which is it? Was it? So yeah, either one. That would be good. One thing I will say is like I've gotten a lot of queer male attention. There's actually this like college program I did that for some reason, I don't know why, was like I feel like every single guy there was queer. It was so strange. And like I got an overwhelming amount of attention. I'm not trying to be braggadocious because it was seriously uncomfortable. Um, and even now, I actually get straight male attention from as far as I can tell. So I guess some people are still perceiving me as female, or they're I don't know. I don't know. You can't know. I just first stumbled upon, I don't know why I stumbled upon this, but like this article that said that, what's his face? Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen, that he is a huge supporter of the queer community in that on his Born in the USA album cover, he may be signaling something gay with his outfit, like the hanky in the pocket, and also he has a song to a male lover. I think it's called To My Male Lover. It's something like that. So, I mean, he sounds like he's probably bi, and so was Elvis, and Rebel Without a Cause guy, uh, James Dean, and Marlon Brando. So, all these big, tough, masculine men. So, you never know. All right, I don't know what else. There, I mean, I think I might try to do one video that's like every single thing I noticed that made me think that I was trans and all the changes or split it up again. I feel like I should do an update because it's been so long. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess one other thing I would say is I'm now in my like dream job, forever job, inshallah, like God willing that it stays that way. And I basically came out to everyone there as trans. Um, like I will say, I wasn't super afraid. Well, I was horrified, but I also kind of had a feeling it would go over well because I'm in a really accepting community, and it did go over really well, and no harassment or anything from anyone, or yeah. So that was good. Also, like we're protected due to that Supreme Court case about like discrimination at work. Um, so that's one thing to note. So people can't discriminate against you. But I actually got a lot of support. And then there are also like some men who started like dressing a little more flamboyantly because my overall message was just kind of like embrace yourself. Like if you find yourself wearing something and you're unsure about it, ask yourself, is it hurting anyone? And if it's not, just do whatever the frick you want. You know, challenge the culture. Traditions aren't always right and meant to be followed. Um, so yeah, so no, that was really well received, and I'm respected by everyone I work with. So yeah, I just want to say you don't always have to be scared and worried about the future, and like being trans is not like a tragedy. Like it can be, but it's not. That's not like your fate. Um, if you have the ability to move somewhere where people will be more accepting of you, do that. you don't have to you don't have to subject yourself to things if you have the ability to move, which I know is a privilege. Um, yeah, but anyways, there is a place for you where you will be able to live and be happy and be safe. So if you're not in that right now, I'm really sorry and I feel really, really bad. Um, but you know what? That's not everywhere. So yeah, just have a little hope and a little faith, and I'm sure at some point you will find that place. All right, well, thank you. Just celebrating 3 years strong.